Candidate Barack Obama was simultaneously revered and heckled for the power of his communication skills. Remember when his opponents teased him for the size of the crowds who would turn up to hear him speak on the campaign trail? Well, tonight, exactly 2 months after officially becoming President Barack Obama, we have seen what the president intends to do with that power, with his communication skills, his multimedia super efficacy. For contrast, recall that George W. Bush was the president in the bubble, appearing before hand-selected loyalist crowds, distributing his message via a select niche of sympathetic media outlets. Recall his relatively frequent delivery of poker-faced, grim, alone Oval Office speeches. President Obama, on the other hand, is everywhere. This week, instead of staying in Washington to ping-pong the AIG scandal with the Beltway media, the president paid a visit to the West Coast, where he hosted a pair of unscreened town hall meetings. Communication medium number one. Obama took questions not from reporters, but from regular, uncensored, not pre-approved, not pre-screened Californians. And their questions didn't once have anything to do with AIG. Imagine that. Which is not to say that Obama avoided the issue of AIG altogether. He just managed to address it on his own terms. First, he brought it up in a remark at one of those town halls, a remark that made the headhunting aspect of the Washington-centric AIG conversation seem a little petty and partisan.
And I know Washington's all in a tizzy and everybody's pointing fingers at each other and saying it's their fault, the Democrats' fault, the Republicans' fault. Listen, I'll take responsibility. I'm the president.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's that then. Step two was to go ahead and take some AIG questions, but not just from Beltway media, not just from reporters. He took questions on AIG from Jay Leno, communication medium number two. Mr. Leno did, of course, ask the president about those controversial bonuses, but there was a whole informal late-night talk show vibe about the whole thing, not to mention a studio audience that had camped out all night for 10 hours for the possible privilege of sitting in the same room with him.
We're going to do everything we can to see if we can get these bonuses back. But I think the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we put in a bunch of financial, regulatory mechanisms to prevent companies like an AIG holding the rest of us hostage, because that's the real problem.
What you just saw there was a seamless transition from the endless AIG bonus outrage discussion to the how to fix it discussion to come. Wall Street regulation. Seamless, right? And in the middle of all that, in the middle of the town halls and the Jay Leno and the managing of the AIG debacle, the president also managed to find the time to send out a big email blast to his campaign supporters asking for their support on his budget proposal. That would be communication medium number three. He also found time to fill out an NCAA bracket on ESPN, Sports TV, communication medium number four, and he found time to call into Ed Schultz's radio show, communication medium number five. The president cutting out the middlemen and middlewomen in the national press, exercising what remains his greatest power, his greatest asset, his personal appeal to the American people, which may not last forever, but he sure has it now, and even his opponents concede that. Having done all that in all those different media this week, today, President Obama capped the week with a remarkable, newfangled, cut-out-the-middleman appeal to non-American people. He released a video message, a long one, to the people of Iran who are celebrating the arrival of the Persian New Year.
For nearly 3 decades, relations between our nations have been strained. But at this holiday, we are reminded of the common humanity that binds us together. On the occasion of your New Year, I want you, the people and leaders of Iran, to understand the future that we seek. It's a future with renewed exchanges among our people and greater opportunities for partnership and commerce. It's a future where the old divisions are overcome, where you and all of your neighbors and the wider world can live in greater security and greater peace.
3.5 minutes of nuanced, savvy, personal communication with the people of America's most often derided and demagogued adversary. It was released to TV networks in the Middle East and posted to the White House website. You see the text there at the bottom of the screen? He had it translated into Farsi and subtitled. He even spoke a little Farsi himself at the end.
Thank you. And Eid-e Shoma Mubarak.
Happy New Year, everyone. Here's to the year 1388 on the Iranian calendar. I feel like I'm just barely getting used to writing, 1387 on my checks. Where does the time go? Here also is to the delightful challenge of covering a president who can apparently run rings around the old media ways of doing things whenever he wants to. Joining us now live from Beirut, Lebanon, is Borzou Daragahi. He's the Los Angeles Times bureau chief there. Borzou, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It's nice to see you.
It's my pleasure.
How did the president do with speaking Farsi at the end of his address there, and what did he say?
I thought he did. He said happy holidays, he used the kind of standard word aid for holiday. I think he did a pretty good job. It was a pretty good pronunciation.
How many people do you think will see this message in Iran? I know that Iran didn't air it on state TV, but I don't have a sense of how media savvy and how well connected your average resident of Tehran is.
Well, I think that I know that Iranians are very media savvy at this time. Satellite television penetration is beyond just the big cities now. In the countryside, most people at least know someone who has access to satellite television, and also internet penetration is among the highest rates in the Middle East. So eventually, this message will trickle towards the ordinary people of Iran.
Borzou, I know that other American presidents have made similar appeals to the people of Iran. The secretaries of state and presidents routinely send New Year's greetings, for example. But this message from Obama did seem pretty substantive. And I thought it was interesting that Shrita Parsi from the National Iranian American Council said that it was a big deal that Obama used Iran's full name, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Shrita Parsi saying that maybe that was some sort of subtle signal that the U.S. is no longer pursuing regime change there. Did you pick up on any substantive signals like that?
Absolutely. I think that was very significant because a lot of times when U.S. politicians refer to Iran, they do not use that full name. And also, in terms of addressing these issues, it was very substantive in terms of addressing the actual problems that exist between Iran and the U.S. Usually you have two kinds of communications by U.S. officials towards Iran, either sort of ultimatums expressing unhappiness with one aspect or another of Iranian policy, or these kind of soft, very genial gestures towards the Iranian people, but not towards the leaders. And here you had sort of a combination of political and humane rhetoric that was rare, that you haven't heard so far.
Well, what do you think the overall strategic move is here? I mean, who inside Iran is this message from President Obama potentially good for, and who might it potentially undermine, if it could have that big an impact?
Well, I mean, it will throw the ball in the Iranians' court, and it could very well provide ammunition to moderates in Iran who want to have better relations with the U.S., who want to change course in terms of Iran's foreign policy. But the hardliners in Iran are very strong, and they've come out already very quickly saying that while this message from Obama is all fine and good, we won't do anything, we won't really budge until we see some concrete changes on the ground. Words are nice, but actions are going to move us.
Borzou, you are stationed in Beirut right now. You've worked all over the Middle East, and you've done so for a long time. Do you get the sense that governments in the Middle East are troubled by Barack Obama's popularity among their populations, that it is in certain countries seen as potentially politically problematic?
Oh, definitely. In Iran, the fact that Obama has great personal appeal among Iranians as well as people throughout the Islamic world, it poses a unique challenge for them. Even so far, Iranian leaders, for example, have not made the kind of venomous personal attacks against Obama that they used to regularly make against Bush. In fact, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad recently, during the annual celebrations for the revolution, he wanted to criticize America, and again he brought up Bush, even though Bush is no longer president. He didn't have he had the wisdom not to go after Obama, who enjoys immense popularity.
Orzu Daragahi, LA Times Beirut Bureau Chief, thank you so much for staying up through the middle of the night to join us tonight. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.